Hey everyone, welcome to Echoes from the Basement, an X Files podcast. I'm your host, Alice, and each week I'll revisit a classic episode of The X Files while sharing my take on the strange and mysterious adventures of Agent Scully and Mulder. And who knows, I might even make a believer out of you. What's going on, guys? How is your week going? We found Brutus's family, in case you're wondering about an update. We reunited them together, and I already miss him so much, but I'm really glad he's with his family and we didn't have to bring him back to the shelter or anything. What else do I want to talk about? I think that's pretty much it. And my trip to Portland was really nice. We went to this oddity place and they had some really cool stuff like this big Bigfoot. They had this area where you can take your picture with some aliens. We also saw that Elvira went there as well, and I guess she goes there every year, so that was really cool. We also went on a ghost tour, a drinking one, and we went to some different bars around town, and there was one that was actually connected to the Shanghai tunnels that they have there. So if you're going to Portland, I would suggest that maybe you take one of those haunted tours. They said that some of the other tour groups offer you packages to go into the tunnels, but our tour guide said that sometimes they have natural gas in there and they're very small. My husband and I decided that we were gonna pass on them. Seems like it was a little bit too dangerous for us. But overall, I had a great trip. I'm back at home, and my husband and I have gotten an inflatable pool and we tried it out the other day, but sadly our hose does not reach into our backyard, so that's something we need to work on. But happy summer, everybody. I am so ready for fall, and let's get into the episode. We're now on episode 14, GenderBender. We see someone's eye in the darkness, and we see that something is flickering. We then see it turns out someone is staring straight into a disco ball. Way to get your vision impaired. You're definitely going to have some problems seeing the next morning. Also, who would stare directly into a disco ball? We're now at a club and we see that people are dancing and having a great time. We are then led up some stairs to the upper level of the club. Someone again is staring into this disco ball and the music's kind of really weird. We are then eventually honed in on one man and woman talking at the bar. I believe that the woman told the guy to basically get lost. She wasn't interested. We found the owner of this eyeball. It's a man, and he is side by side with some alien artwork. Tint, nudge, nudge. We then see this man go over to this horoscope machine. That looks really cool. I kind of wish it was real. I bet it's really fun to go up in the club and be like, what's my horoscope say today? We then see a brown-haired woman come up behind him. She then takes the man's hand into hers. They almost kiss, but she whispers something in the man's ear instead. We then see these two people wind up in bed together. The woman walks towards the bathroom while the man lays in the bed saying how incredible their time was. The woman watches him from afar as the man keeps trying to talk to her, but she doesn't really give him a response. The man sits up in bed, but he starts to cough and he kind of grunts. He starts to flail around in bed as well, and he's holding on to his neck as if somebody was strangling him. The woman just continues to watch from the bathroom. We hear the man's heartbeat. We then see blood starts to come out of his nose and foam starts to come out of his mouth. We then hear his heartbeat stop. Then we see the woman transform into a man and take his clothes and leave. Very strange episode so far. We're in Germantown, Maryland. We're at the crime scene. We see that the crime scene investigators are sprawled all the way out in this room. They're taking pictures and collecting evidence. An agent is filling Scully in on the events that happened the night before to the man that we saw earlier. We see Mulder is looking for evidence in the meantime. He's kind of examining the body, looking around a bit. The agent then tells Scully that something seems off about this crime scene. He says the security system says a man came in with a woman at 10 last night, but then the monitor picked up a man leaving after midnight. Different man. Scully says, well, couldn't have just been a woman in disguise? The police officer says, no, it was a completely different looking person, but I'm sure it was a man. Mulder continues to look around a little bit more. He takes some samples of the foam that came out of the man's mouth. Scully asks the agent, what is the cause of death then? The agent replies with, the guy blew an artery. He essentially had a heart attack. Scully then asks, well, are there any signs of robbery at the scene? The agent says the man left with the guy's suit, briefcase, and wallet. Mulder has now noticed that there are some scratches on the victim's body. Scully then tells the agent, I'm not sure why we are here then. Just seems like a simple crime scene. The agent replies with, somebody from the FBI requested you if this cause of death ever came up. I wonder who that was. Scully and Mulder leave before we can find out who put that request in. We're back at FBI HQ. Mulder is showing Scully some slides of different victims with the same causes of death. 5 people were killed. He says that the victim started in Washington, D.C. and goes up to Boston. Each time the victim dies during a passionate event, if you know what I'm saying. 2 women and 3 men have died. They all have symptoms of a heart attack, even though they're completely healthy. Scully suggests, could it be a new drug doing all of this in the club scene? Mulder explains that each body has a huge amount of pheromones. It is 100 times stronger than anything they have ever seen before, and because of the intensity of these pheromones, people die of heart attacks. Mulder then goes on to explain that the pheromones contain human DNA. Well, Scully says that's weird. We don't even know yet if humans can produce pheromone. We are still trying to discover it, so how could this all be? Mulder says, I don't know, maybe this guy is just a walking sex magnet. Scully replies with man or woman, we have seen both. Mulder smiles and says, you know, that's just the crazy part of it all. Scully says, well, what is our profile going to look like for the killer? We kind of have nothing. Mulder says, this isn't even the weirdest part. These deaths all had the same MO. Boston, Hartfield, Philadelphia, and Washington. All the deaths took place here, but we can see that the killer is moving down south. Mulder says, I saw these symptoms in another death about a year ago. He goes on to describe a case that contained a 32-year-old man that was found dead outside of some woods outside of a small town in Massachusetts. This town is home to a sect of religious isolationists called the Kindred. They have no electricity, phones, anything, kind of just like the Amish. Mulder explains that these people are known for their handmade pottery. They mine the clay themselves. Mulder is showing some of the pictures of these people to Scully. They essentially just look like Amish people. Also, side note, if you know who Trixie Mattel is, she did a deep dive into the Amish community. It's really cool. I would definitely go check it out. Scully then asks, well, what's weird about them mining for clay? Mulder says the same type of clay that they mined is specific to this region. Mulder then goes on to say that he found the clay in the latest victim's scratches. Scully says that doesn't make sense. Aren't these people known for their abstinence? Mulder replies, yeah, but I guess one of these guys got real sloppy. We're at Stevenson, Massachusetts. Scully and Mulder drive out to the town where the Kindred live. Mulder and Scully get out of the car, they start to look around the town, and then they head into a hardware store. They meet with an older woman, and they introduce themselves and kind of state why they're there. We see Mulder looking at some photographs hanging on the wall of the kindred people. He asks the woman, well, what can you tell me about this group of people? An older man comes from the back and says, well, they mostly keep to themselves. Some people say they do that because they're practicing some type of voodoo or magic up there. The older man says, I think they're okay, they're fine. They bring in tourists in. Some Jersey Devil vibes, always loving the tourists, same kind of feel. He says that the pictures that are hanging up are from the thieves. And Mulder says, well, what about the photos that are missing? The older man says, well, they're just being reframed. Mulder replies with, well, can I see these photos? And like, yeah, okay. He reaches under the counter and brings out the photo of these people. These photos depict people dressed in black, 2 men, a woman. We then see the kindred people start pulling up to the feed store on their horse and buggy. Mulder asks the older couple, well, how would I meet them? The man replies with, well, they don't like strangers. It's probably going to be really hard. But the old man ends up pulling out a map and starts to show Mulder kind of the way to the kindred town area. This also makes me think of my best friend growing up. She had a TomTom. It was basically a GPS that could talk, and it spoke Yoda. I just wanted to bring that up since we were talking about maps. The kindred people exit their buggy, and we see that Scully and Mulder try to talk to them. Some of them enter the store, but one of them kind of hangs out by the horses. Mulder says, we should split up. I'm gonna go into the store, and you can talk to the man that was left behind with the horse. Scully casually just says hello to him, but the guy kind of ignores her. Scully then tries to get her in with this guy. What can she say that will make him talk to her? She kind of circles him like a shark and starts petting the horse. She then says the horse must have a lot of trouble on the asphalt. What's her name? I also want to make a side note. One time I went to the rodeo and I got to pet a horse for the first time, and they're so cute and soft. I really enjoyed the experience. I named all of them. We then go back to the episode, and the man replies to Scully saying that the horse's name is Alice. Scully asks, well, did you name the horse? The guy starts getting kind of nervous. He keeps kind of watching his back, turning around side to side. He's looking to see if anybody is watching him. He says, we named her together. I'm not allowed to talk while I'm outside. Scully says, oh, okay. By the way, my name is Dana Scully. She holds out her hand for the man to shake it. The kindred man just kind of looks at her and her hand. He eventually shakes it. Scully smiles, but then the man gets really creepy and he starts caressing her hand with his thumb, the top portion of her hand. Scully's demeanor immediately changes. The rest of the kindred group comes out of the store and they call for Brother Andrew, that was the man's name, who Scully was talking to. It's time for them to go. Scully kind of looks concerned and confused. Mulder says, what are you doing? She kind of seems like she's puzzled. Scully keeps looking at Brother Andrew as he rides away. Mulder asks Scully, what info did she find out? Scully says, well, I think there's something going on in that town. Mulder replies with, I knew it all along. So Scully and Mulder make their way to the town. They drive through some mountains. They're trying to find where the kindred people live. They're looking at a map. They're not sure where this town really is. I'm not even sure if Mulder even knows how to read a map, a compass, or knows any kind of directions because he is so confused. They kind of end up lost. Mulder says we should be there already. He then crumples up the map, kicks it, and Scully catches it. Very impressive. That's sick, but they're lost in the woods. They then hear a stick break. Scully tells Mulder to turn around, and we see a group of the kindred people have found them and surrounded the two agents. Scully shouts we're FBI agents. Mulder introduces them and says we are here to investigate a murder. The kindred people close in on these two agents like the raptors from Jurassic Park. This group of people state that Scully and Mulder need to drop their weapons. Weapons are forbidden here. Please hand over your guns to our council, or we will not let you leave. We then see a woman approach Scully and Mulder. Her name is Sister Abby. She says, please give up your weapons. We are sad about what's happening in your world, but we have nothing to do with it. Here, there are no weapons allowed and no killing allowed. Scully says, well, we just want to ask some questions, but Sister Abby insists that they drop their weapons, and then they can bring the two agents to the town and they will answer any questions that Scully and Mulder have. Scully kind of looks at Mulder cautiously, and then they hand over their weapons. Scully and Mulder are then brought back to the town, and we see kind of how the kindred people live. It's sort of like the Amish. They live off the land. They all dress the same. There's no technology. There's a bunch of farm chores. Weirdly enough, there's no farm animals on there either. Scully and Mulder join the kindred people for dinner. It's kind of weird. We see that one of the dinner guests keeps coughing at the table. I mean, if you're sick, sir, just please stay at home. Sister Abby leads everyone in a prayer, but this man just keeps persistently coughing. Mulder says, I want to ask some questions. We are looking for somebody. They might have come from here. Scully says, we have some photos. Can you please take a look at them? Sister Abby says, we do not allow pictures here, so get lost. Scully says, get wrecked. There is a crime that has been committed, so we need some answers. We don't care about your rules and regulations here. Brother Andrew asks, what are these pictures? Scully says, well, they are security photos from a murder. There's a man and woman in these photos. Could you perhaps identify this person? Brother Andrew asks where the crime was committed. Scully says, Washington, D.C. Brother then goes on to say, well, maybe you guys can identify this person. Brother Andrews does not answer his question and asks, how many murders has this person done? Mulder replies with 5. Scully says, that's why we need your help. Seems like Andrew is asking a lot of questions, but he's not giving a lot of answers. Neither is Sister Abby. Mulder asks, has anyone left the town recently? Sister Abby is starting to look annoyed. A man slams his fist on the table and says, we do not care about your world, violence, or any of these questions. He goes on to say that these 2 agents do not need to be here. Sister Abby says, brother, please stand. The man who clearly doesn't like Agent Scully and Mulder. Abby says in shorter words, don't get upset, Brother Wilton. That was the man's name that slammed his fist on the table. You have to make atonements for this anger. Mulder's like, it's cool, it's chill. We knew he didn't mean it. The kindred people say anger is associated with violence, and that is wrong. The man who was coughing before, he starts to choke. He's kind of grabbing his neck. He's turning red. Scully goes into doctor mode and tries to save him, but Sister Abby says he doesn't need your help. Scully tries to save him, but she is stopped. Sister Abby says, remove Brother Aaron. That's the man who's choking. And she also states that we take care of our own here. Sister Abby also goes on to say that the 2 agents cannot interfere with their business. Scully and Mulder kind of look at each other and they're like, WTF, like what just happened? What did we witness? We are now at a club. We see that the murderer is prowling for his next victim. He spots a blonde-haired woman and follows her. He says, do you want to dance? She says no. She also says that she's not interested. The man picks up her hand and starts to rub his thumb on the back of her hand. The man lures her out onto the dance floor. It's nighttime. Scully and Mulder are kicked out of the kindred community. The people give the 2 agents a lantern and point the agents back to their car. Scully and Mulder are talking about the traumatic events they just witnessed. Mulder asks, do you believe in all that stuff that they said, that they take care of their own? Scully says, well, they better, because that man's probably going to die. Mulder thinks that the Kinder people just put on an act. They do know some info, and they're just hiding it. The man that was choking, he was just a distraction. The people just didn't want to answer any of their questions. All of this was just staged. He says, Scully, did you realize that none of our questions were answered, but we answered all of the kindred people's questions? Mulder then adds, don't you think it's odd that there weren't any children around either? Scully says, huh, I did notice that. That is really weird. Mulder says, and to top it all off, the pictures that we saw at the hardware store that were from the 30s felt that some of the people there tonight look similar to the people in the photos. Scully thinks, well, I believe that they marry each other. Scully and Mulder decide to go back into the kindred town, but they realize all the people are gone. We then see some sort of ritual happening. All the kindred people are going into the barn. Interesting. Scully and Mulder run to the barn, they take a look inside, and they see people chanting and just kind of standing there menacingly. They see a body. It's the man from before who was coughing, Brother Aaron. He has a white stripe on his forehead. One of the kindred people kind of spots Scully. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. They make eye contact, maybe. The ceremony continues with some more chanting. All the kindred people leave and they go down into the cellar. Mulder says, well, now we gotta go down there. Mulder enters the barn while Scully watches. We then see Mulder ascend into the cellar. He cautiously looks around. One of the kindred people have found Scully and surprises her. It's Brother Andrew. He tells Scully to come with him. He says, I can give you some information. Mulder makes his way down into the cellar. He goes through this tunnel. He hears chanting. He's clearly close to whatever is happening in this cave-like area. He then sees the kindred people. We see that Scully is taken to Brother Andrew's room. He says, I know who did it. I want you to find this killer. Find him for me. We get some lore. Brother Andrew said he was my best friend. His name is Martin. I called him Marty. Mulder, on the other hand, is still in the tunnel. He's now kind of in this cave-y area. He sees that the kindred people have this goo in their hands and they're putting it all over Brother Aaron's body. It's really gross. And the noise it makes when they put the goo on his body is gross. We're back to Scully and Brother Andrew. Andrew is trying to give some lore about his friend Martin. He says that Martin was different. He goes on to say that Marty poisons his victim. Scully asks, well, how do you know that? Brother Andrew takes a chair from the corner of his room, puts it up against the door to block anyone from coming in. He turns to Scully and says, I need to show you something. Something about Marty. We then flash back to Mulder, and we see more goo being placed on Brother Aaron's body. The kindred take the body and place it somewhere, and then they leave the cave. Mulder then gets out of where he is hiding and investigates this area. We then see that Brother Andrew is showing Scully some magazines. He says, Marty and I used to explore the edges of our world. That's where we found these, referring to the magazines. Scully asks, well, why did you keep them? Brother Andrew says it was Marty. He liked them. I didn't really like him. Marty loved them, and he loved the world that you live in. Marty left us to become part of your world. He wanted to become one of you. We're back to Mulder in this tunnel cave area. He touches the goo, I'm not sure why, and he starts to explore some more. He touches the cave walls, and they have these holes with thin skin in them. Kind of look like the lady from Doctor Who. I want to say her name is Cassandra. The kindred people return, and Mulder's like, I gotta get out of here. He tries to escape, but someone is coming down the way he came. Now he's forced to hide in a hole in the wall. One of the kindred people asks the other one, where is the woman? The man says she's in the house with Brother Andrew. The man asks, what about the other man? The other kindred person says he's missing. They both leave. Mulder is like, I gotta get back to that house right now. We see Brother Aaron's body in the hole with Mulder. We see that the body is turning from a man to a woman. We see that this body has long hair and is starting to become more feminine. We're back at the house with Scully and Andrew. Scully says, what's so different about Marty? Andrew says, I can't really tell you. I could be banished. Scully asks, does it connect to the ceremony that happened in the barn? Andrew says nothing. He takes Scully's hand and starts rubbing the top of her palm. She asks, what is happening? We see Mulder running to the house and calling for Scully. He's kind of whisper yelling her name. We then see that is in a trance. Andrew says Marty is different. We are all different. Andrew kisses Scully's neck. He puts her on the bed and continues to kiss her neck. Mulder is trying to get into the room. He keeps calling for Scully. He eventually breaks down the door and saves her. He rips Andrew away from Scully. The two agents leave the house, but they are confronted by the kindred people. Sister Abby says, I told you not to get in the way. The group of people part so that Scully and Mulder can leave. Well, it's a good thing that violence is against their religion because this group of people looked seriously pissed off. Mulder says, WTF Scully, what happened in there? Scully says, I don't know. I don't know what happened. She then proceeds to throw up. We are back at the club. We see a woman approaching a man on the phone. It seems like it's the woman from before that killed the original guy. I'm going to assume that this woman is actually Martin. The woman rubs the man's hand and he hangs up the phone and goes with her. We then see an alien portrait from behind witnessing all of these events. Scully and Mulder are now in the car. He asks Scully, how is she doing? She says, I'm better, but I'm a bit embarrassed. Mulder asks, why didn't you leave? Scully says, he told me he knew who the killer was. Mulder asks, how do you know that he wasn't the murderer? Scully says, source, dude, just trust me, I believed him. Scully asks Mulder, what happened in the cellar? Mulder says that the guy from before was buried in a hole, but he was alive. Mulder goes on to say that he was in this hole with this man and that's how he knows he was alive. Brother Aaron's face has also changed. His hair looks more like a woman's. It seemed like he was transforming. Scully says the man was changing sexes. Mulder says that would explain this whole case. Scully says, do you think these people can change their sexes? Mulder says, yeah. But I also saw you as Brother Andrew. Let's get back to that. Scully says, you really think you wanted to murder me? Mulder replies, well, maybe it's the sex that kills. After all this stuff, why did the kindred people let us go? Mulder's like, I don't know. Probably because violence is against the religion? I don't know. We see that the murderer is having sex with a man in the car. We then see a cop approach the car and urges the woman to get out, who we presume is Marty. He then tells the man on the phone to get out of the car. But the man from the club who was on the phone starts screaming out in pain. The woman hits the cop and runs. The man from the club looks out the window and sees that his date, who was originally a woman, has transformed into a man. We're at the hospital now. We see the man from the club and he had a heart attack. He's talking about it to Scully and Agent Mulder. Scully asks him, did she touch you or make any physical contact with you? The man says that her touch was electric, but he doesn't remember anything else. Mulder says, so what do you remember? The man kind of goes quiet and he says, I don't know, I don't remember anything. Mulder says, was there something strange about this woman? The guy hesitantly says, she was a man. Scully and Mulder look at each other and know that this man was Martin. Mulder and Scully talk about the case some more as they're leaving the hospital, but before they can officially leave, an investigator comes up to them and mentions that the credit card from the last victim was used to order food downtown. The woman says, it's forbidden, but I couldn't help it. We're in some sort of apartment now. Touching men or women is a powerful experience. We also see that someone is dead in their bed. Scully and Mulder go to this apartment. The woman goes on to say, you offer many things in this world like pleasure. We are different. The others will find me and punish me. The day is coming and they won't leave without me. We see the dead man and he has foam coming out of his mouth. Scully and Mulder find the apartment. They break down the door. They enter with their weapons drawn, but they find nothing until Scully was hit over the head with something. We then see that there's no woman running out of the apartment, but it's a man, and he hits Mulder as he tries to escape. We then see that Marty gives Mulder a glimpse into his world. Marty transforms into a woman and then turns back into a man. Scully finds Mulder in the hallway. Mulder then tells Scully that he ran down the stairs. Scully is now outside, her weapon is drawn, she's looking for the murderer. We see Marty, but then we also see some shadows. Marty starts to approach Scully, and she said, no way, sir, back all the way up. Someone takes Marty before Scully has time to arrest him. It's Brother Andrew and the kindred people. They are taking Marty away. Scully orders them to step aside. Andrew says don't hurt him. Andrew tries to approach Scully, but she turns around and says, no, sir, you better step away. Mulder comes out and starts calling for Scully. Andrew takes this opportunity and hits and disarms Scully. The group of people then take Marty away. They vanish into thin air. The police set up roadblocks everywhere, but they find nothing. Mulder says there's only one place for them to hide. So the police go to the kindred town. We see that all of these agents, Scully and Mulder included, are looking for this group of people, but they all find nothing. The whole group has vanished. They're gone. We then hear that the police have found something in the hayfield. Scully is like, how could a whole town disappear? They have no means of transportation. Mulder says, well, no earth transportation. We see a huge circle in this hayfield. These people were aliens, and that's how the episode ends. This episode was really great. You would have never guessed that this group of people were aliens. You would have thought that they were strange for sure, but maybe not aliens. I think the tunnel/cave part was really cool, and the mystery behind who the killer is and how it could be a man or woman was also captivating. But what do you guys think? Anyway, thanks for listening, all you truth seekers, abductees, and X-Files enthusiasts. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share the show. And remember, the truth is out there. You just have to find it.